count you down in 3 in a minute. Dr. Matt, just count to 10 for me here.
You want me to count?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thank you very much.
I was counting too slow.
That's good. That's good. Okay.
Now my volume is going to probably come up a little louder if you were using that as a sound test. I'm probably going to talk a little louder.
That's fine.
Then.
That's fine. Yes, sir. That's fine. That's fine. All right, I'll count you down. We get started. Rolling. All right. 3, 2, 1.
My name is Shauna Smith, and this is Friday, February the 7th of 2020. And I am at the COFO Center at Jackson State University, where I am interviewing Mr. Vernon Weakley. Do I have your permission to record you today, Mr. Weakley?
Yes.
Okay. Can you please say and spell your full name?
Yes, my name is Vernon Steve Weakley, W-E-A-K-L-E-Y. Vernon is V-E-R-N-O-N. Steve, S-T-E-V-E.
Okay. Can you tell me about yourself?
Vernon Steve Weakley was born in Chicago, Illinois. My family at a young age brought me here to Mississippi. And I was raised in Jackson. Went to Linear High School. Came to Jackson State in 1968 as a very naive freshman. I was in the band at Linear as well as at Jackson State. And
Make sure you try to look into this camera as much as possible. Yeah,
Okay.
I know you'll slide off from time to time, but try to make sure you look directly to their lens.
okay, I'm sorry about
You
that.
want me to keep going or stay?
Let's go back to that question again.
Okay. All right. Can you tell me about yourself?
Yes. Vernon Steve Weakley was born in Chicago, Illinois, December 7th, 1950. At a very young age, my mother brought my brothers and I to Jackson, Mississippi, where we were raised. Jackson, Mississippi at that time was a very quiet, sleepy town compared to Chicago, Illinois. I went to Linear High School. I was in the band. I got a band scholarship at Jackson State University. Came over here and was in the sonic boom of the South, the famous sonic boom. Went on from there. I was in music and went on to political science. After the shooting at Jackson State, things kind of changed in my life, which caused me to go on and take a whole different path. Instead of being a naive, young, nerdy kid from high school, something snapped in me after the Jackson State shooting. But after the shooting, I went on about my life and moved on. And from there, I went to Houston, Texas. I worked at the post office, by the way, during the time of the shooting. I called myself working for a summer to get my fraternity money. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And I called myself working for a summer just to get that money. And lo and behold, I worked at the post office for 10 years. It was a very turbulent time in Mississippi at that time. There was a lot of racism at the post office here in Jackson. After the shooting, I was a very violent, confused person. When I say violent, not violent as far as doing anything major, but just being angry, let's just use that, about what had happened at Jackson State University. And I credit the person changing my life was A.B. Britton, was our family doctor. He was the person that took care of my leg when I got shot at Jackson State University. And he was also the person who put my life on a path that made me realize that in order to change the system, you got to work within the system. So, as a result of wild, hippie, partying, member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, I slowed down a little bit and went on to Houston to work with the Treasury Department, IRS. Had a great career over there for 25 years, was a manager there for 18 years. There was a student at Jackson State by the name of Gene Young. He was a teacher here for many, many years, but the night of the shooting, he was out there as well. And he challenged me to put my thoughts about the book, about the shooting, I'm sorry, into a book. So that's what I did. And I wrote a book in 1998, which was called Standing at the Edge of Madness. It's about eyewitness account of the shooting at Jackson State University, and it goes on from the shooting to the trial and far beyond in my life, at how, with the looking into the point of what it did to me, as far as the shooting, how it impacted my life as a young man to an adult, and even to this day, the impact of the shooting is still with me in my daily life. So it made me the man that I am today. But I went on from there to Houston, worked at the IRS for many years, retired from there, and moved back to Jackson to assist with my mother, who was in failing health, and I'm here today. Still a supporter of Jackson State University, always at the football games and supporting the school.
Well, I'm glad you're back.
Glad to be back.
I want to just go back a little bit and talk about the days that led up to the massacre that happened. Can you talk about maybe the day prior to this, and then what happened on the day of?
Sure. A couple of days prior to the shooting, there was an incident on campus. It was at the ROTC building. A few students on campus tried to, I guess they tried to burn the building down. At that time, it was at the far end of the campus. I don't even know what the building's name is over there. It used to be the old band room at that time over by the railroad track, or the fourth portion of the railroad tracks. And after that night, I went back. They were not successful, of course, but I went home and I told my mother about it. I said, well, Mom, I was on the campus tonight and I heard there was some students, a handful of students who tried to burn down the ROTC building. I guess they were upset about the war that was going on. And
The Vietnam War, correct? The Vietnam War?
The Vietnam War. And I got a preference to that because as an older person, I just assumed that during that time people would connect, 70s would connect that with the Vietnam War. But yes, that's what it was. My mother specifically told me, Ms. Smith, Vernon, do me a favor, do not go on campus tonight. I was working at the post office. And I told her, hey, well, instead of going to do that, I'm going to go visit my girlfriend at the time, and I won't go near the campus, knowing all the time that I was going to go to the campus, because I didn't perceive it as the danger and threat that my mother had. I just saw it as a few knuckleheads doing something stupid at the ROTC building. They didn't burn it down. They were just screaming and hollering that it needed to be off campus. So I did go to the campus, and on that particular night, it was a very quiet night. This was a couple of days before, but like I said, when I tell people this, what I'm finna say now, people don't believe it, but at that time, Jackson State was kind of like a very laid-back party school. You know, we were not concerned with a lot of the politics of the day about the Vietnam War and protesting like was going on with many of the white schools in America at the time. So we were just kind of laid back, and just prior to the incident, the shooting at Jackson State, the Kent State murders occurred 10 days prior. And I remember some kids trying to put together a little protest about the shootings at Kent State on the cafeteria stairs there, and people just brushed by them because we were simply not interested in that. Jackson State just wasn't that type of school. Now, of course, there were a few who pushed that issue, but for the most part, 98% of the kids of Jackson State College campus was just there to get their lesson, party, have a good time, and graduate. And I guess I was one of those students as well. But going back to the night of the shooting, I arrived on campus. It was a very quiet night. As a matter of fact, it was so boring that evening. I got there about 5:30. That evening, I went down to this area here, which is a little south of the campus, which at that time, there used to be a lot of nightclubs down this way. So we went to the nightclub for a little bit, and we came back to the campus. And we did like most of the other kids did at that time. And generally what happened would be a mass of students at the girls' dorm. That's where everybody hung out. That's where the lovers were. You know, you had the girls, they had the frats. I was a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, so we were all there, and it had to be, which was a normal occurrence, 200 or 300 kids in front of the girls' dorm, just outside, the music blaring. It was just a real good, quiet scene. So, all of a sudden, we're all outside. Me and my frats, got to be about 20 of them, another 30 or 40 Deltas out there. We're all out there together. This truck come rushing through the campus, and it's different now, but at that time, Jackson State was a thoroughfare. There was a street, Lynch Street went directly through the heart of Jackson State. And so we're there, we're having a good time, and this white man in a truck come rushing through the campus, screaming out obscenities at the students. Now, why? I don't know. Nigga, nigga, hey, you dirty niggas, this type of stuff. And it shocked us all. We all kind of stood up to see what was going on, and he just went past us. We were on that end of the campus where it came in at. And so we're there. We're all kind of shocked and stunned, but apparently he slowed down where the old student union building is. And he stopped, I guess, or he just kept screaming at the students. By the time he got down to the boys' dorm, which was on the other end of the campus, he got bricked. He got bricked. And of course they did. That's just where it was in those days. But the odd thing was about 30, 40 minutes later, looking to the right from the girls' dorm, we could see highway patrolmen and policemen marching towards really the men's dorm. Instead of on Lynch Street marching towards us, but having to pass the men's dorm. So, of course, the men were screaming at them. They were hollering at them. Had to be about, I'm gonna guess at about 80. I remember maybe it was a little shoddy there, but they were screaming at them, get off our campus, which was a normal thing at that point in time in America. I mean, if it was a white campus, black campus, you know, police just didn't come on your campus unless they had permission. It had to be something very, very serious. So to see them, it had everyone screaming on that end of the campus, get off the campus. What are you doing? They're just screaming. And some kids even threw rocks at them. So you got heavily armed highway patrolmen. I don't mean with pistols. These guys had shotguns, automatic weapons, rifles, and it had to be maybe, and I found out later in the trial, there was roughly 40 highway patrolmen, another 40 Jackson policemen. They were supposed to be under the direction, as I found out in the trial later on, under the Jackson police captain. I can't remember his name, but they all were supposed to be under them, including the highway patrol. But they came by, they didn't even look. They barely looked towards the men at the men's dorm, screaming at them. There probably had to be at least 40, 50 young students, male students, screaming at them, get off our campus, what are you doing? They're trying to make them back out to get off of the campus, but they didn't. They just quietly kept walking towards us. So they passed the men, and they just kept walking towards us. Like in formation, had their guns. They were trying to ignore, I guess, the men student. They came down, and we kept saying, why are they coming towards us? We're a long way away from where they are, but why are they coming towards us? So when they get to us, we did the same thing, thinking that they didn't do anything to the male students. So maybe they won't do anything to us. So we were screaming, get off the campus, get off, why are you here? Get off. And at that time, like I said earlier, there was Lynch Street came through the center of the campus. The girls' dorm, where I was shaped like a box, open-ended box. I was standing right here under the wing that got took most of the blunt of the shooting and the shooting. So we're all here, I'm here, they get right here, and they stop. Now it gets scary. They wheel towards us, and one of the guys pull up a bullhorn. He's talking and screaming, get back in the dorm, get back in the dorm. We're directing you to get back in the dorm. Of course, students. We're screaming and hollering at them, telling them to get off our campus. Just to give you a little more of a depiction, you've got the street, then about 3 or 4 rods in grass, and you've got a fence, about 5-foot tall fence. And we're all inside of the fence thinking, well, we should be okay because you got the sidewalk, you got the dirt area about 5 feet, like high rise of grass, about up to about 5 feet, 1 foot up to 5 feet. Then you have all of us screaming and hollering at them to get off campus. A lot of the kids moved inside the building, the girls' dorm, but a lot of them didn't because we just didn't expect anything to happen. So next thing I know, directly behind the Highway Patrol and police was the campus cafeteria. It was kind of elevated off the ground about 8 feet, then a fence, and then behind it, students were looking down at the Highway Patrolman and policemen. So all of a sudden, this bottle comes up in the air. It arches up over their head and slowly falls down. And when that bottle hit, those Highway Patrolmen and policemen crouched and just started shooting. I mean, it was incredible. It was as if it went on for hours, but I understand that it went on for like 28 seconds or something like that. But that's a long time. I don't know if you guys ever shot a gun, but 28 seconds shooting a gun, rapid fire, is a lot of bullets. And man, it lit up out there like day. People were screaming and hollering and calling me slow, but I got 2 feet and I got hit in the leg right below my knee and slammed violently to the ground. So I'm laying there looking towards the girls' dorm, and it was such a horrendous sight. The kids were all trying to jam in through that hallway. First there had been glass doors, there were big tall glass doors, and they had broken those doors down and glass was everywhere. Some of the kids were being shot in the back with buckshot. Now I'm laying there facing them, a little farther than where you are from me, which is about approximately about 6-7 feet. And I'm looking at all this carnage. People are falling down, a lot of kids are shot. They're screaming, they're hollering, the sound is incredible, just incredible. And they're shooting and just madness, incredible scene. And I'm sitting there watching it, I'm just praying and screaming, Lord, please don't let me get killed. Please don't let me get killed. And over and over and over, Lord, please don't let me get killed. 'Cause the bullets are just hitting around. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought I cut my phone off. I'm so sorry. Oh. When I'm always talking to people about religion, I always ask the devil calling whenever I'm testifying or giving people, you know.
1 second. That's a good time.
Sorry about that.
You're a good storyteller.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you feel that way, I appreciate it. I'm getting a little emotional now. I'm trying to ease that back a little bit. Now, how do we back this thing up a little bit? And you may want to check to make certain that phone, every telemarketer in America seems to call me around this time of day. So sorry about that, Ms. Smith.
It's fine.
And I don't know do you segue into this? Do you cut into it, or how are you going to fix this?
We'll fix it. It ain't gonna be no issue.
All right. You want me to back up just a little bit?
Yes, sir. Just back up a little bit.
Okay.
For that, we'll see if we can edit around it.
Let me know when you're ready.
So why we do this, it needs to be
Oh,
heard.
okay.
Students need to hear this.
I've done this so many times with so many different organizations and stuff. You would think I'd be a pro, and I was out there earlier. It's been maybe about a year since I did an interview on it, but kind of going through my book, trying to remember things. And the book was so graphic, I found myself getting emotional out there in the car and I had to put it down. As an author.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We'll do 2 things real quick. We'll do about 10 seconds of silence, just to get
Okay, just let me know. Standing at the Edge of Madness was my first book. And one of the things that I got from people was it was just too violent from the beginning. I started it off, first chapter, I believe, at the shooting. And it was just so graphic. So the next book that I did was a book called Fear No Evil. And it's kind of about those type of things too. It had some of the shooting of Jackson State in it, but I started off a little milder and, told about myself and my family and just kind of eased it back a little bit to get people to be prepared for what was going to happen in the book. So, but that was one of the things, if I could change about Standing at the Edge of Madness, which is about the shooting, then maybe I wouldn't have started it so early, right there when the shooting started.
Well,
All right,
I
here we
want you
go.
to speak about this again at the end, okay?
Sure.
10 seconds, side, everybody, real quick, and starting now. All right, thank you. Okay, we're gonna do one more, 10 seconds. 10 seconds, start now. Thank you.
Do you want me to leave him in with, where he was
Yeah,
at the,
let's go right back into that spot if we could.
okay.
3, 2,
Mr. Weakley, can you talk a little bit about where you were when the shooting took place?
I was at the girls' dorm with a bunch of my frat brothers and sorority members, Delta Sigma Theta. We were there doing like we normally do, enjoying the night, music, enjoying each other's company. Kids were laying in the grass, kids were standing around, and as I said earlier, the truck came through, and it was a white man screaming horrible obscenities out at us, but no reason, no one had done anything to him. I guess that just was his way of enjoying his night. But he came through, and as I said earlier, no one did anything to him on our end. It was so fast that it surprised us all. But like I said, apparently he slowed down, but by the time he got to the boys' dorm, which was on the other end of the campus, man, those boys started giving it to him. And like I said, I don't want to make it sound like they were just extremely violent, but yeah, they did throw rocks at him. They did scream at him and holler at him. And like I said, 30 minutes, apparently he stopped off campus. I don't know whether he called the police or what, but in my mind, it was had to be some type of sinister plot. I think that it wasn't an accident that he came through that campus. I believe that the evil powers that be in Mississippi set that up so that they could make a point to the students at Jackson State. Jackson State at that time had grown by leaps and bounds. There was a lot of students there, and in my mind, maybe they were afraid of our political strength and power. At that time, Tougaloo College was across in Tougaloo, Mississippi, which is not very far, but suburb of Jackson. And they were very active at Tougaloo College. I had an older brother who went there, and they were very active compared to Jackson State. But I believe that something more sinister was unfolding. I believe that man was a plant, and he called and told them, now come through, because, as I said, nothing was going on that night. Here we have 80, 40, roughly 40 highway patrolmen, another 40 city policemen, armed to the hilt, shotguns, automatic weapons, rifles, riot gear. Riot gear, that's not something that you just say, hey, we just got a call, let's go out. This was organized. They even had I don't want to call it a tank, but it was an armored vehicle. It seemed like it was named after one of the governors or something like that. I saw it about 10 years ago. A friend of mine bought it, and who has a museum here in Jackson. He bought it just to show it off. But there's an armored tank that the Highway Patrol, not a tank, but just an armored vehicle that the Highway Patrol used. So here we are, quiet night, peaceful night, nothing going on but students enjoying the night. This white man rides through the campus on our end, screaming and hollering at us, calling us nigger. Next thing we know, 30, 40 minutes later, here's the Highway Patrol city policeman, armed to the hilt. They marched past the men's dorm, Stewart Hall, without even looking at those students practically. You know, these guys are screaming at them. They're trying to back them off that campus, man. They're throwing rocks at them. Guns were not allowed on campus at that time, so it was just, they were just screaming, hollering. You would think that if there was a problem, the Highway Patrol would have stopped there, but they didn't. They marched right on past those guys like they didn't even see them. Kept marching towards us, and here we are on the other end of the campus, a quarter of a mile away. Seeing them coming towards us, I know in my heart, I was frightened. I'm not gonna lie. It was very scary, but I tried to be brave like all other students. So here you got 100 students still out there. Once they got closer and closer, some of the students went inside of the girls' dorm. Even the men went inside some of the girls' dorm because they were afraid. But we stood out there, my frat brothers, some of the Deltas, and we were there and we were just screaming with other people too. And as I said earlier, the cafeteria was elevated about 8 feet off the ground, fence, and behind it, students were behind that fence screaming down at the Highway Patrol and the policemen when they arrived at our end of the campus, which was right in front of Alexander Hall, the girls' dorm. As I said earlier, Lynch Street was a thoroughfare, and once you got out of the street, there was a dirt rising about 5 feet off the ground, a fence, and behind that fence, we were all standing. Of course, we were screaming and hollering at the policemen to get off the campus too. I mean, in that day and time, even on the white campuses, you know, if police were on your campuses, particularly during the war, there was a war going on, and a lot of kids protested the war, but not on our campus, but across America. But they were doing what kids all over America would do, scream and tell them to get off the campus. But rather than pass us like they had done at the men's dorm, they faced us towards Alexander Hall, the girls' dorm, where we all were. And it was a guy on a bullhorn screaming, "Get back in the dorm, get back in the dorm. We're warning you, get back in the dorm, get back in the dorm." Then all of a sudden, so eerie, a bottle was thrown from behind the police from the direction of the cafeteria. That bottle arched up and almost in slow motion started this downward spiral towards those policemen. When it hit, they just went crazy and started shooting. I mean, they crouched and you just see it in their eyes, man. They were afraid, I guess, but they just started shooting like crazy. I mean, it's hard for me to even describe. I understand it was 27, 28 seconds, something like that, and that's a long time. If you know anything about shooting a gun, just constantly shooting a gun, that's a lot of bullets. That's a long time when you're shooting a gun. And the sky lit up. Blue flame was coming out of the guns. Sparks was coming out of their guns. We were screaming and hollering. I got hit immediately. I tried to run, I turned and got hit in my leg and was violently knocked to the ground. So here I am laying towards the stairwell that received most of the fire at Alexander Hall, watching this incredible scene. Kids were being shot in the back by shotgun blasts. people were being, what they call it, pellets from the shotgun guns in those days, and glass was falling. It had those big glass doors there, man. Glass was just cutting those kids up, and it had to be like 60 kids trying to get in the door at one time. It was like ants. At one point, they just kind of stuck together, and it was just incredible. Here I am laying there hollering, screaming, Lord, please don't let me get killed. Don't let me get killed. Shit, what's going on? Please, Lord, don't let me get killed. Don't let me get killed. It was like grass was just popping all over my head, you know, and at that time, I didn't know I had been shot. I knew I had been knocked down, but I thought maybe it was one of the students running past me and knocked me down trying to get past me. So I'm laying there, and then all of a sudden, there was an eerie silence. Then boom, it opened up again. I mean, the screams of the students were just incredible. It was just unbelievable. It was like a freight train running through that area, and everything was moving. The building was shaking from all the people running and the screaming, all the tension being released in that building and fear. And I remember that stairway being cleared out, people slowly getting up, and they had been cut. Blood was everywhere. And I remember screaming to my frat brother's name was Howard Levi at the time, Dolomite's what they called him. He's dead now. He died a couple of years ago in a auto accident. But I remember screaming out his name, Dolomite, Dolomite, please help me, man. Levi, help me, man, help me, help me, help me. I remember this highway patrolman I later found out whose name was Lord Jones. Screamed, came up. I tried to get up. He pulled me by the arm back down, slung me down on the ground. And I'm screaming, Levi, come get me, man. I'm hurt, I'm hurt, I'm hurt. I realized then I had been shot. It was like a warm, tingling feeling, just kept getting warmer and warmer and hotter, and I felt my leg at one point. I felt my jeans were just red with blood, and I knew then I had been shot. At first, I didn't know I was shot. I was like, is this, you know, in the movies you get shot and you instantly feel it, but I didn't feel it at first. But man, I don't know whether it was the fear, the adrenaline, and the stress from what I was seeing, but all of a sudden, man, my leg just exploded. I'm just bleeding now, and I'm realizing I've been shot. And I remember Lord Jones pushing me down, and he's telling others, stay down, stay down, stay down. And I remember him pointing the gun at my frat brother, Dolomite, and saying, nigga, get your ass back in that building. Get back, because Dolomite had gotten up, and he was walking out of that door from the stairwell. And he kept doing this like, you know, don't shoot. I'm just trying to see about my frat brother. And I remember Lord Jones holding his rifle, or maybe it may have been a shotgun, whatever it was, at Dolomite. Said, nigga, if you come another step, I'm gonna kill you. You take one more step, I'm gonna kill you. He was screaming at Dolomite. And all these other highway patrolmen were doing basically the same thing. Y'all get down, sit out in the grass. Go, you know, get down, get in the building. And I remember specifically, Dolomite said, well, you're gonna have to kill me because I'm coming to see about my frat brother. I gotta go see about my frat brother. And then, I'll never forget this till the day I died, how Dolomite kept walking forward. I mean, he could have easily been another casualty, another dead person. I remember him coming out there to me, and he left him alone. He didn't do anything to me. He kind of went off in another direction. But soon as Dolomite got to me, he turned me over. He started holding my leg as if to try to hold the blood. It's kind of funny now, I guess, in my leg, but not in a tourniquet type way manner, but just his hands on the wound, on top of my blue jeans. And I'm screaming, I guess, and I'm panicking. Because now I'm just feeling like, man, I'm dying. I'm out here dying. I'm bleeding like you wouldn't believe. And from there, I remember.
One second. Do you have like a scar from your?
It don't even look that bad now. I tell you, I've had so many different things to it, but I can show it to you. But it's not.
We can do it later on.
Yeah, it's not as like it used to be.
senior or junior?
I was a sophomore. You know, I look at Lap Baker and all those guys talking all that stuff. Man, I was just a chump sophomore, band boy, you know, and naive. If you'd have told me something like that would have happened, I wouldn't have believed it. So yeah, no, I wasn't. Lab Baker and them was, they didn't even have there, and hopefully I can remember to say that they didn't even graduate from Jackson State. They shut the campus down so fast after the shooting, it wasn't even funny. Sad sight, sad sight. I'm gonna have to use the restroom one more time. Is that okay? Like, that guy, where did he get all that water from? Y'all forgive me. As a result of what happened to me that night.
Can you talk about any of the other misconceptions from that night? Because that's actually what you've been talking about just now, misconceptions.
Yeah. Well, it's almost hilarious. You know, whenever I hear about Jackson State, it's, oh, it was a riot out there that night. You know, kids were rioting and fighting with the police, and they were justified to shoot and wound all those kids. That's not true. The night that the shooting occurred at Jackson State, it was a quiet night. It was a normal night on a college campus, any campus, black or white in America. And they intruded on our campus, in my mind, with the intent of making a cruel, evil point to Jackson State. You will not rise up. You will not be a part of the system. You will not cause trouble. You will be afraid to vote. You'll be afraid to take leadership role as a result of what we're going to do to you that night. So that's the storyline about what happened that night. That's the evil powers that be in Mississippi has planted that story to justify what they did. That's only one of so many things. I tell you something else. That's another thing that's, when you hear it, it's laughable for the kids out there. Even when I run into the guys now that I hadn't seen in years, and I said, well, you know what they're saying? Man, they're saying that the shooting occurred after 1 o'clock that night. What? Shooting happened around about 10:30. And for those, you know, colleges have changed now. They got men in the dorm and girls living together, and they come in whenever they want to. But at that time at Jackson State, man, you had an early curfew. Kids couldn't be out late. I think it was maybe like 11 o'clock. You know, they could not be out late. Simple as that. You get thrown off campus. You know, thrown out of school. And trust me, I know I was with the Qs. We would be trying to sneak in the girls' dorm, but they did not play that at Jackson State College. They didn't. So the shooting happened early, but yeah, people's gonna, one of the lies they tell, it happened on the first. And by the way, if you want to prove this theory, go look at the memorials at Jackson State. The one in front of the wing where all the shooting occurred says the 14th of May. The one in front of the dorm doors says May 15th. So truth is always the first to go when people are trying to paint a story, trying to perpetuate a lie. Truth is always, that's what you do. You create that confusion, you know, what night did it happen? When did it happen? Oh, it happened at 1 o'clock. I even heard one of the big time news people saying, oh, it happened at 1 o'clock after 1. No, man, no. No, Jackson State didn't play there. It was a very strict school when it came to curfew. Girls couldn't have been out like that late at night. It wouldn't have happened. They didn't play. So that's another thing that's not true that occurred. Of course, as I said earlier, it was a quiet night. No one was doing anything out of line that night. And like I said earlier, a couple of nights earlier, yeah, a handful of kids tried to do something over at the ROTC building, but understand where the ROTC building is located and where the shooting occurred is a long way away from each other. So,
1 second, Mr. Sharp. You need to get a portrait film real quick. You have to go. You have to let it go.
No, I'm cool.
You good? Okay.
yeah.
This is great.
So what we have then is that you have those two lies, and there are a lot of other lies. You know, why did the highway patrol? Maybe I should go on to the trial. After the shooting, well, let me go to the next day. So during the interview with the FBI, they very sneakishly mentioned, oh, there's going to be something at the Masonic Temple. Y'all holding a big riot, not a riot, but a big rally over there at the Masonic Temple. So again, my mom did not want me to go. But as soon as those FBI agents exited my house, taking all my clothes, my shoes, my tennis, my socks, my frats were at my door. Man, what's going on? You okay? Blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, I'm feeling fine. My mom found a cane for me to walk on. So my mom's gonna kill me. When she turns her back, I run out or get the frats to grab me and take me with them. So I go and jump in the car. My mom's on the porch. Boy, get back here. You know, I'm with them. I got my little cane. I'm hobbling. I'm all bandaged up. And get to the Masonic Temple. And they were having this big deal. All these people from everywhere, all over the United States had flown in, and news media and cameras and all this type of stuff. And what was his name? Guy's a big-time surgeon in America now. His name was Antoine. I'm gonna call his name in a minute. Big, tall guy. He was talking. He said it all. I didn't have to talk. When he got through laying it out to the news media, I'm gonna call his name in a minute, but he's a guy's real famous surgeon now in America. But he told it and told it like it was. So I didn't feel like I needed it. But I'm gonna tell you what else. So we go over to the campus. Man, we think we're gonna have kids line up and protesting with signs and mad and angry. You know what we saw? A broken campus. Nothing. Few people here and there. Parents running in scared, grabbing their kids' belongings. It was at the end of the year. Getting them out of there quiet, trying not to be seen by, it was cameras out there, trying not to be seen by the cameras. And, you know, just a few kids here and there. And I'm thinking, man, I'm going out here. I can't miss this. I got to tell my story. I got to protest with everybody else. But all I saw was a broken campus. So, in that regard, the evil Mississippi powers that be won. You know, the good guy's supposed to win. When you have stories like this, you see the movies, good guy's supposed to win, but not that day. They won. They did exactly what they wanted to do. We didn't have graduation. They chased the kids off campus. The parents, everybody, you would think there would just be an outrage about what had happened the night before, but it wasn't. Everybody was scared. The parents were scared to talk to people. We had nationally known figures coming in, some senators and all this type of thing, U.S. senators coming in on campus. But man, all I saw was people moving their kids off campus, getting the hell out of there. Nobody wanted to talk, ducking their heads to keep from being seen. And it really was sad. It really was sad. And as I told you earlier, I worked at the post office. And I took off about 2 or 3 weeks. I was so depressed. So depressed. Not just from the wound, but just at what had happened. It was just such a terrible cut. You know, it was like somebody ripping open a wound and just turn everything upside down on what I believed about life. I was a Christian. I'm a Christian now. I'm a born-again Christian now. But at that time, I was a Christian, naive kid, man, church going, believed in the good, good, triumph over evil and all this stuff. But I was so depressed because You know, it was just a bad situation.
I was gonna ask you about your thoughts of the reactions from the black and the white communities as a result of this, and
Well,
I guess you just told the black response.
and the white too. The news, it wasn't a whole lot. You know, two kids got killed and a few got wounded and blah, 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 and they should have got killed, you know, blah, blah, because they were riding, fighting with the highway patrol. It's sad. It was a very sad thing, you know. As a result of that, I'm into politics now a lot, and I think about the kids coming in from Mexico in these cages and stuff. How you hadn't heard a lot about it. Today is February the 7th, and you don't hear a whole lot about that in the news. So it's kind of like that. You know, shooting at Jackson State occurred. They were more focused on Kent State that had happened 10 days earlier, and it's the big difference. Kent State, the kids were out there protesting, white kids, raising hell with the highway patrolmen and the city police throwing rocks and everything. It wasn't like that at Jackson State, no. Quiet night. In my mind, the evil powers that be said, hey, we got an opportunity here. We're going to go out to Jackson State, shoot up some niggas, make a point that's going to scare all our black folks here in Mississippi. And that's what they did. Because you could just smell the fear in our community. You could smell it. People are just so afraid. And because you didn't know what they were going to do next. If they would come up to a campus, stand in front of that girl's dorm, and shoot bullets, it could have killed anybody. And I said earlier, I mentioned Gene Young. Gene Young was a professor here, doctor, went to my high school. He was the one who talked me into writing my books, started me on that path. And I remember his story that night was he came on the scene later and he helped calm the kids down by telling them, doing the I Have a Dream speech and all that stuff, and Dr. Peoples with him. Dr. Peoples, till this day, gives him a lot of credit for helping Gene Young from calming the student. But, you know, I remember me now trying to encourage him to write a book after I got going because of the point that he made. You know what the miracle of Jackson State was? That many, many, many more students were not killed or hurt. As I said earlier, they were shooting into a box. Where did those bullets go? They were going into that building. Because that's not what Dr. Britton had told me to do. I remember telling myself, I got to get out of here.
I don't know why I thought it was gonna be your mother that was.
My mom was a tough lady. My mom didn't like what had happened. And, you know, but Dr. Britton, he laid it down. That's why I left.
All right, we're gonna do 10 seconds again of silence, and then we'll get back into it. All right, so we'll start the silence right now. All right, 3, 2.
As I said earlier, I was depressed for weeks after the shooting at Jackson State, and this little short, courageous lady, her name is Constance Slaughter.
Hold on 1 second.
She was
Warler found just popped on as soon as you started talking.
She-
Just pop off in a second.
lawyer. She spoke last week. 2 weeks ago, I was out of town, and I had to go. And every time she speaks, I try to be there.
She was good. That was the first time I'd heard her.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you should have seen her back in her day. Woo wee! She was a hell raiser. And I try to include great lady though. Hey Mike. Mark, I'm sorry. Hey Mark. Hopefully you got the pictures I sent you earlier. Probably use some water too, but as soon as it's
Are you a student?
I think we ready.
Okay, what's your major?
Oh, that's
You
good.
anticipated all my questions.
New predictions, concentration.
Three,
Military side.
3, 2, 1.
As I said, I was depressed for weeks after the shooting at Jackson State. And again, I did work at the post office. And I'm at work. All of a sudden, this little short lady, light-skinned lady lawyer by the name of Constance Slaughter shows up and says, "Boy, do you want to be a part of the lawsuit?" And what was happening was the Gibbs-Green family had a lawsuit, and about 5, 6 other of the students who got shot were also in the lawsuit. Leroy Kenter, not Pookie, God dog, Leroy Kenter. I can't remember his nickname at the time. Now I said he's gonna get all on me about that. It was part of it. We got to be very tight during that time. But what they would do is every night they'd meet with the students to kind of go over what was going to happen in the trial. And like I said, I was a party boy, man. Those days, I remember making Sci-Fi fraternity, and I was just wild and crazy. The shooting changed me. I went from a naive little kid to a gun-toting, shotgun in the trunk, hellraiser, partying, doing all types of wild, crazy things here in Jackson as a result of my personality being changed totally with all this fear from what had happened to me. Why did it happen to me? Why would somebody do what they did? Could have killed a lot of my friends and people out there. So I changed. And I remember Constance, I'd missed the meetings. Well, Weakley, you scheduled for next Tuesday to come in. You're going to talk with all other students. We're going to go over the trial and that kind of stuff. And I missed a couple more. I remember her pulling me outside one day, grabbing me in my collar. "Son, I don't play. I'm going to tell you, if you want to be a part of this trial, you're going to have to calm down, be on time, listen to us." And I remember looking in her eyes, because nobody had never grabbed me like that before now. My mom did. My mom whooped me. But she grabbed me and pulled me up. "You're going to get right or you're going to get out, because we're going to have any fuck-ups associated with this trial." And I remember thinking, wow, from there on in, we became good friends. But she put together a team of excellent lawyers locally, but she was the primary, and they would work with us on the trial, what was going to happen, that type of stuff. But before the trial, I worked at the post office, and they had put me on a different duty because I was still trying to recover from my injury, hobbling. And across in front of the post office at that time was downtown Capitol Street, and right across from the governor's mansion. So they sent me out to get the mail over there. They said, never happened before. I had done it a few times. So I get out there and get to the post office. There's 2 young highway patrolmen standing there. Okay, I just walk over anyway. They stand in front of me. As I get to the mailbox, they stand in front of the mailbox, and when I try to go around, they move over. "What you gonna do now, nigga?" I'm really shocked now, because here I am, a little kid, and these are big, burly guys, man. And I remember getting so emotional to the point that I just stood there. And I made up my mind in front of those guys. Probably took me about 30 seconds, not saying nothing. They looking at me, laughing. I'm like, my tension and rage is just growing, because now I've got a chance to take it out on somebody. And I remember once I pushed through them, upon them, they moved out the way, bust out laughing. I went to the post office box. I'm mad, I'm crying, I'm pissed off. I grab the mail, I go back to the post office. I tell the supervisor, this guy's supposed to be a Klansman. Can't call his name right now. He's in the book, my book, Standing at the Edge of Madness. White guy, big old burly guy, thinking he wasn't gonna do shit about it. I said, hey, this just happened at the post office. And boy, he went crazy. What? I'll be damned if they're gonna do something like that to some of my people at the post office. They know who they fucking with. This is the government. He went all off, called a union student. I'm standing there looking like, oh man, I can't believe, I almost called his name again. Hankins, I think, or something like that. This guy, the union hated this guy because they thought he was a racist. And I'm like, wow, now the union guy comes up and he's like, well, maybe we shouldn't send Weakley over there because he wanted to send me back No, the union guy wanted to send me back over there so that they could tape it out the window and that kind of stuff. And Hankins, I don't think that's his name, but I got it. He's in the book. Thinks about it and said, well, maybe. What happens if they get on Weakley over there and do something serious to him this time? They're ready for him now. And so he pulled me back. You know, people said, man, no good white folks. Guy by the name of Moke. Hippie white boy, worked at the post office with me, a good friend of mine. Now, for years. He grabs that bag. Boy, he's so pissed off. God damn it, I can't believe this. He grabs that bag and in a huff, went stumping back over there to those guys, man, curses them out. They didn't do nothing. He was a big guy, big burly guy. No, he comes back, and now they're interviewing him. Next thing you know, we get interviewed. We got people coming in from Washington to interview us and that kind of stuff. Tell the story. And I don't think nothing ever happened to those young guys. I don't believe nothing happened to those guys. But so we're going. The trial is set. Mississippi Gulf Coast. Me, Spoonie. Leroy Kennedy's nickname is Spoonie. I'm sorry, Spoonie. He rides down with me, fresh in the cars on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We go down for the trial. Oh, man, we loaded for bear. We just ready. And it was a song that he used to like, man. He had me pump it up. I worked at the post office, and I had a black Eldorado with the pimp tires on the side. So we ride down, and we do the trial. And trial goes perfectly. But before that, something happened to Constance. Instead of Constance being the lead person on the trial, Constance Slaughter and her staff, people, team, they brought this Jewish guy, old Jewish guy, lawyer from New York, and his team down, 2 or 3 of those guys. We were upset. What's going on? Well, you know, we got to deal with him, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's going to be okay, Mr. I almost called his name. I'm getting old. But they're going to take over the case, take the lead on the case. I'm still going to be here. I'm going to be working with them, but we want to make certain we win. So they take over the case, and it's pretty good. And before that, backing up a little bit more, my memory's starting to kick in now. State of Mississippi did a interrogatory. That's where they bring you in pre-trial and ask you questions. They did that, and I remember, you know, explaining to them what had happened that night, and, you know, I guess everything was okay. But they did it at Sun and Sand Hotel, which is gone now. But they did all this stuff with all the students, whatever. But that was done. You know, they asked me a lot of questions about different things. You know, you're supposed to be the goody-goody two-shoe fraternity guy, and blah, blah, we hear this and that. And I just had to tell them like it was. Most of the stuff happened after the shooting. But going to the trial, man, the trial goes great. Did have an incident with Lord Jones again, me and Constance in the hallway. They're getting ready to interview the highway patrolman that was out there tonight. Him and his highway patrol guy, and they're all looking up to this guy like he's a god, you know. And Lord Jones, big bad Lord Jones. Oh, man, white guy. Oh, yeah, Lord, can I get some beer, water? Water, can I get your Coke? Blah, blah, blah. And I remember walking up to him and challenging him. You don't remember me, do you? You don't remember me. He was looking at me like I'm crazy. Yeah, I remember you, nigga. That's what he blurted out. Next thing I know, Constance come up behind me and grabbed me, started pulling me back. So why you do that? Because I had my frats there and I had some other people there. And we're going to handle them. We're going to handle them boys that day. And so no, because guess what? They're going to throw the trial out. Because I'm going to be out there fighting right in the middle there with you. We don't need that. We don't need that. So they do the trial. Boy, and that doggone Abe, he came through. I'm sitting there, I almost called his, that's his first name, Abe. He was, sure the students were out there that night. I mean, he was like you playing a violin in front of those people. Yeah, man, they were there, but these poor students, these are just students. These guys come up on their campus. Why would they shoot up these little young kids? What? Guns, rocks, these kids are good kids. You know, Mr. Weakley there, you know. And boy, he just painted, man. At the end, we thought for sure we had won. Even the jurors crying. People, white people in the audience, even the judge, you could see it on his face that, man, you guys were in the wrong. I be dog. When they reported the verdict, we lost. We lost in Mississippi. sitting up at home a year or two later, get a call from Constance. Guess what? We're going to the Fifth Circuit in New Orleans. We got hope. I'm like, yeah, okay. Get to the Fifth Circuit in New Orleans. We win. We win our lawsuit. So we lose in Mississippi. We appeal it. They take it to the Fifth Circuit Court, federal court. We win. Now it's scheduled to go to the Supreme Court. Man, I'm sitting there 2 or 3 years later with my daughter. Never forget that. Eating dinner, wife, daughter at the house, sit on the news. The Supreme Court is, I'm going to get the word right, dismissed, refused to hear the Jackson State incident because they had just ruled earlier on the Kent State incident. And basically they said it was the same issue, so they saw no need to redo a case that was Jackson State University. Man, I'm so sad. Just so sad. I remember Constance calling me after I saw it on the news. That probably would have been good to find out earlier. Say, hey, they refused to see it. We thought for sure at the last minute they were going to change their mind, hear the case up, and we lost. So we lost. Well, we didn't lose because they didn't hear it, but they dismissed, refused to hear it, take it up. So that's what happened. So I went on about my life and tried to do like Dr. Britton said. Went on, worked at the IRS for years, Treasury Department, did a lot of things. And now I'm retired, back in Mississippi, and I often think about that night. You know, God works, man. God is, and prayer works. My mom would always say, man, we pray for you every day, and you know, God works. He looks out for his people. And that's what he did for me. I could have been dead, could have been killed out there that night. Wasn't. Went on about my life, and I often think about those kids who were killed. And he's given me a good life, a great life. A lot of those people are dead, you know, passed on, and they didn't get a chance to tell their story. Gene Young did encourage me to do the book, and I did do it. Standing at the Edge of Madness, I encourage everybody to read it. It's kind of verbatim, some stuff that I said today.
Can you talk to us about the legacy of that and what you want us to know, Jackson State University students today, to take away with it? What do you hope that they remember of it?
Well, first, if you don't learn lessons from the past, you're doomed to repeat them. So you need to know that while things are a little cushy now, or racial relations, I don't know, with Donald Trump in there, has gotten currently worse in my opinion, but things have gotten better. Racism is still there. It's still there, just waiting for another opportunity to rear its head. And I want to say this too. One of the things I learned, being an author, doing book signings all over America, Black Caucus just had me up there all the time as an author, Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, and talk to people. Shootings like Jackson State occurred all over the United States. It wasn't just Jackson State or Orangeburg here, that, South Carolina. All over the United States, Southern University, a lot of colleges, man. Alcorn, different schools where stuff like that happened, but they suppressed it like they did Jackson State. If we didn't happen so close to Kent State, our story probably would not have been as prevalent, wouldn't have been out there like it was. But in any case, my message to current students is just be aware racism is there. Make certain that you are not as naive as we were to think that they were not going to shoot at us. That we could stand there face to face with them and challenge them like we did, screaming to get off our campus. And don't think that racism isn't still so powerful today. It is so powerful today that that type of thing can happen again. So be careful, be wise, stand up, be courageous. And from there, you know, protect yourself, protect each other, love each other. I would like to think that good triumphs over bad. And that's how I'm going to leave it today at the end of this interview, that in my heart, that's where I want to think, that good triumphs in the end over bad now. Where does it end? Students. Learn from what happened at Jackson State and just be aware that racism hadn't gone anywhere. It's a powerful force on this earth. And that's it.
Thank you so much. We needed to hear your words today, your testimony. And I appreciate it, and I'm so thankful that you survived to talk to us here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Ms. Weakley, if you remember like the last line you said right before the phone. Before the phone, do you remember what it was?
Message to the
Students.
students. Want to go back there?
That last one sentence.
My message to the current students at Jackson State is that racism hasn't gone anywhere. It's just way.
It's much bigger. Came in here, came out somewhere over here.
It's up to you guys.
Okay, you sure why you sitting?
It's up to you.
Yeah, let's try.
It's not as big as it used to be. You know, a lot of stuff came out during